Okay, now on to the game that's been taking up a very large majority of my time, and that is Dark Souls. I got it on the 360, there are multiple reasons for that, but in short, I wanted to get it on 360 because I didn't want to be put on the PS3 servers because people on there would probably kick my butt in the PvP in this game, and I didn't feel like having to deal with that. The server system's a lot different than in the Demon Souls, so I won't really get into it, but honestly, it didn't really matter if I got it on PS3 or 360. Like I said, I wanted to be paired with the newbies, because it's been a really long time since I played Demon Souls, and I didn't want to be invaded constantly and killed all the time. I'm not going to really go into all the different mechanics of Dark Souls and whatnot, because it's kind of very similar to Demon Souls, so definitely watch my review on that if you're curious as to how the game is about. But it's a lot of fun. It's an open world game now, and man, I played this game for like 17 hours, and the first 2 days I had it, it was really that good. And at first I said this is the hardest game I've ever played. But as time went on, and I started to learn more of the mechanics and leveling up and whatnot, it got a little bit easier. But what really draws me into the world and universe of Dark Souls is the very innovative online when it works. Unfortunately, it's a little broken now. It's very hard to get paired up with people, but hopefully in the upcoming patch they'll fix that. But the atmosphere, the world in this game is so unbelievable. I'm telling you guys, if you're a fan of fantasy or horror or anything like that, this game has an amazing world to explore. And the fact that it doesn't hold your hand, and let me show it off while I'm talking about it, but I did pick up the strategy guide, which is a monster of a book, hardcover, tons of pages, a lot of information in here. But I'm playing through the game without the walkthrough. I bought it specifically just for information on NPCs and what items they sell, like upgrade paths for my weapons. The way to play Dark Souls is without a guide, I'm telling you. The sense of not knowing what's around the next corner, because if you guys didn't know in this game, when you die, you have souls, which is basically the currency of your experience and the money that you use in the game. So when you die, you leave your body on the ground and you have to trek back to it. And if you die again, you basically lose all the experience, or the money, or the souls is what they call them in the game that you had. Unbelievable game. It's very challenging. I would not recommend this to people that are not up for a challenge, because the beginning of the game is, the first 10-ish hours are very, very hard. But if you are playing it and you want a little hint, use a spear and a shield. That's the best weapon combination you can use. But I've been really enjoying this. I'm about 40 hours in right now. I'm at the Tomb of the Giants, for those of you that are playing and if you know where that is. My biggest complaint with it, though, is that the online is broken. It's so hard to get summoned or be summoned into someone's game or summon other people into your game, because it's on peer-to-peer servers and it's not on one dedicated server like Demon Souls was, where you're constantly getting summoned and invaded. And just one aspect that I'll mention for those of you that don't really know how Demon Souls and Dark Souls worked is that it's basically an MMO single-player game where you're in a single-player world. You can actually be invaded by other players while you're playing, and not even in this game, not even be notified. So you'll be playing, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a playable character, like a real person, will invade your world. You won't be notified, and they can backstab you, kill you, and you die, and they get your souls and whatnot. And it's so over the top and crazy in this game that you can actually disguise yourself as items within the world. So you can disguise yourself as a pot or a bush, and then like come out of disguise and kill somebody. You can go invisible and kill somebody. You can summon super powerful demons and curse their world, so that the person that's cursed, that you cursed and made their game really difficult, has to invade your world and kill you to get rid of all those super powerful enemies that you put into their game. This game is brutal, and I love every moment of it. Every time I die, it can get frustrating sometimes, you know, it can get kind of hard and get me kind of mad and cursing at the screen sometimes, believe it or not. But it's an unbelievable game, one of the best games that I played this year. Highly recommend this to anybody that's a fan of action, adventure, RPGs, or just for a challenge, or if you just want to experience an incredible world, definitely check out Dark Souls. Okay, next up is one of my most anticipated games this year, and that is the Ico Shadow of the Colossus collection on the PlayStation 3. Now, you guys all know, Ico, favorite game of all time. Shadow of the Colossus, definitely up there, is also one of my favorite games of all time. The HD remakes of these are incredible. Man, especially for Shadow of the Colossus, they fixed the slowdown that was, you know, apparent in the PS2 version, which wasn't a bad thing, but they fixed the slowdown, and the game looks freaking amazing. And Ico, you know, there wasn't really much of a problem with any slowdown in the PS2 version, but the textures and the details in this look incredible. Now, especially for us US Ico fans here, this version of Ico actually looks even better to us than it did for you guys over in the UK and Europe and such, because those versions of the game, the US version was actually sort of almost rushed out in a sense, in a way. And the PAL version of Eco had a graphical remake of its own on the PS2, like better textures, better colors and whatnot, more detail. So to have that version plus the HD remake, us US gamers here, we're really in heaven because it looks even better to us than it did for you guys over there. Once again, guys, this is like the definitive collection. If you have not played either of these games, please do so. It's $40, you know, it's probably going to go on sale during the holidays because it's, you know, people aren't going to be buying it, let's face it, this year with all the other games. So I'm sure you'll be able to pick it up really cheap. It's got some awesome extras on here for fans of the originals that were kind of, you know, if you weren't sure if you should pick up the HD remake, the bonus features on here are worth it alone. They've got like a good hour and a half-ish of bonus features and interviews and whatnot, and the graphical remakes are totally worth it. Two insanely good games, guys, especially Shadow of the Colossus. Eco, it's sort of hit or miss, I find, for most people. Some say it hasn't aged well, but Shadow of the Colossus is like an absolute must-play if you're a fan of video games. It's got some daunting controls at first. Please give the controls a chance. Get over the controls. It's got quite a difficult learning curve in terms of that. But once you get the controls down pat, you're in for an incredible experience. Okay, next is a game that also had taken up a lot of my time. I think I put like 60 or 70 hours or something like that into this already, and that is White Knight Chronicles 2 for the PlayStation 3. Those of you who remember, I was really addicted and really into the first White Knight Chronicles. I wasn't one of those guys that put in thousands of hours into the game, but I did invest over a good over 100 hours into the original White Knight Chronicles. Best way I can sum up this game, White Knight Chronicles 1.5, I guess. Well, the best way to put it is it's a direct continuation of the first White Knight Chronicles. So when you play the story in this, it is picking up right where the first game left off. No introduction to who's who, no introduction to where the story was at really. So if you've never played the first one and you're diving right into the story in this one, you might be in for quite a shock on how it doesn't hold your hand. Even with the combat system, you're kind of just dropped into the game and expected to know how to play. Greatest aspect of this, for those of you that didn't play the first one, this actually includes the first game in here, right on the same disc. So you can play through the first game, go right into the second. This is a Monster Hunter / Phantasy Star Online-esque game in the online mode. However, it does force you to play through single-player stuff in order to unlock levels to play in the online mode. White Knight Chronicles 1 supported up to 4 players. White Knight Chronicles 2 supports up to 6 players, so it can get pretty epic. But that's not until later. You can't go into 6-player battles right away. You can also transform into the White Knights, or the Incorruptus now in online mode. Once again, that's not until much later. If you're into grindy RPGs and leveling up and upgrading your equipment and crafting equipment, games just like Monster Hunter and Phantasy Star, where you kill enemies, you get materials, you use those materials to make new weapons, level up those weapons and equipment, and just keep on progressing through the game. If you're into that kind of stuff, you'll love this. Otherwise, it might get a bit repetitive for some of you guys. It's just constant questing. But I love it. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually waiting for a friend to catch up so we can actually get back into playing some more, probably later in the year. But yeah, White Knight Chronicles 2, I'm a fan. Okay, luckily I get to make this one pretty short because I know I've been going on a long time here, but that's El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron. You guys can check out my review, my full review that I did for this game right on my channel. But in short, if you haven't watched it, I really enjoyed the art aspect of this game. The only thing I didn't really care for too much by the end of the game was the combat was getting a little stale, but otherwise this is an incredible, artsy, over-the-top, in terms of style game. Definitely check out the review. Alright, and last but not least here, I've got 3 Sega Saturn games. The first one is Galactic Attack, which is a really fun shooter. This is a vertical shooter, so it's got the, obviously if you're not playing on a side-turn monitor, it's got the black bars on both sides. It's a lot of fun. I didn't get a chance to play too much of it, but hey, it was pretty cheap. And I also picked up Darius Gaiden, which this game, wow. There's a lot of content in this game. There's so many branching levels and branching paths that I can imagine that the replayability in this game is through the roof. It's very, very hard. I didn't get very far my first couple of times trying to play this game, but it's got a really the Darius games. It's pretty funny. It has like almost like a fish theme to it. Believe it or not, a lot of the bosses in this game are themed after like aquatic life. I find it very unique and very funny. But another really cheap and pretty fun shoot 'em up on the Sega Saturn. And lastly, it's a Sega Saturn game exclusive that I've been wanting for quite some time. It's kind of hard to describe this game, but it's Mr. Bones, and this is a compilation of all different kinds of mini-games, everything. There's like rhythm games in here, there's platforming in here, there's puzzles in here. It's got a lot of CG thrown into, you know, the actual gameplay, so, you know, animated. I guess the best way to think of it is, if you ever played Heart of Darkness, for example, or say Myst or something, where a lot of the stuff you interact with within the static screens can be animated at the same time to give it a really awesome effect. I'm a big fan of pre-rendered, you guys know that, so animated pre-rendered stuff is even better. So I'm really looking forward to giving this one a try. This is the kind of game that I probably want to stream sometime because it's really wacky and crazy. But anyway, guys, there was a lot more that I picked up when I was at PAX, but you guys can check out all the games that I picked up on my trip out to PAX Prime in my game hunting videos, which I'll put a little link to below in the video description if you guys haven't checked that out yet. At the end of each video, I show you what I picked up. And there were a few more games that I got that I'm going to be mentioning in future videos. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.